write a letter to the editor, and that letter to the editor was published in the Wall Street Journal in response to this article. So both our campaign and our letter writings to the editors they're great and they're effective, but they are reactive. So what can we as Hindu Americans do to be proactive so that we can make sure that reporters and journalists and others are educated about Hinduism so that these types of misrepresentations don't even hit the headlines? So one of the things that HAF began doing a couple of years ago is developing educational material. Oh, no. Yeah? Okay. One of the things that HAF began doing a couple of years ago is developing educational material for journalists and reporters. And our first big success was with our media toolkit. And this is a very short booklet.
Just short.
Okay. This is a very short booklet which aims to explain certain concepts about Hinduism very simply to the Western media. So for example, one of the things that we list in this booklet is we request journalists to use the Sanskrit word murti as opposed to the English word of idol, which many of them do in an attempt to translate. The reason being is that idol actually has a very negative connotation. If you look up idol in the dictionary, it actually means false god. So through these educational materials, we request journalists to use proper terminology when referencing different aspects of Hinduism. So the first time we debuted our media toolkit was at an annual conference of the Religion News Writers Association. Now, the Religion News Writers Association, or RNA, is an organization that almost every journalist and reporter that focuses on religion belongs to. And each year they host a conference. And this year, actually, the conference is going to be in Minneapolis, and Suhad is going to be representing the organization. But for the past 3 to 4 years, the Hindu American Foundation has been the only Hindu group that has been attending this conference on a regular basis in an effort to educate journalists and in an effort to ensure that, just like Suhad mentioned at AAR with the academics, that these journalists and reporters have a Hindu group that they can turn to when they have questions about Hinduism. And again, here, HAF does not claim to have all the answers, but we do have the ability to put these journalists and reporters in touch with the correct Hindu leader, or the correct Hindu temple, or the correct Hindu scholar. So we serve as a reference point for these journalists, so that we can. Sorry, did you not hear me?
No, sorry.
Okay. So we serve as a point so that these reporters and journalists can reach the Hindu community that we want them to reach. And for this year, actually, at RNA, we are going to go one step further, and we are actually sponsoring a trip for all the attendees at RNA to go visit a local mandir in Minneapolis. Once again, we're ensuring that these reporters and these journalists are getting an inside view of Hinduism from Hindus. And on the side, we're also building goodwill with the leadership of RNA, which I'm sure will come in handy at some point in the future. Many of you who might already be on HAF's email list have probably seen that the Hindu American Foundation's board of directors, Dr. Steve Shukla, has been invited to regularly write for Newsweek and Washington Post On Faith blog. And he started writing about a month or so ago. And this is the first opportunity like this that we've had. And at the outset, you may think, all right, so what? What's the big deal here? But let's put it into perspective. For the first time, 2 nationally respected media outlets, Newsweek and Washington Post, have felt that the Hindu-American viewpoint is just as important as the viewpoints of the 3 Abrahamic religions. This is huge. And you may think, okay, fine, who cares? We think that your children will care. We think your children will care because they are growing up in a country where they are still of minority faith. And so, to always be proud to be Hindu, it's important that we as Hindu Americans are able to voice our views and explain ourselves in well-respected national media sources. It's imperative. And the On Faith blog that Asim is writing for is a really great start for our community. And we hope that after this blog, we're going to be able to really rally this and continue forward in expressing our views in national media sources.
Also on Miller's small presentation in the Newsweek.
Lisa Miller. I'm sure many of you saw that Lisa Miller recently wrote an article in Newsweek which mentioned that it was entitled something like "We Are All Hindus." That many people in the U.S. now believe their viewpoints, their spirituality is more in line with Hindu view thought than